Homer Simpson has done a lot over the years, but what if we told you he might be the biggest financial disaster Springfield has ever faced? From melting a nuclear reactor to nearly flooding the town over a sandwich, his chaotic choices have left more than just messes behind. We were curious, just how much has Homer actually cost his city? So we crunched the numbers, and the final total? Let's just say you'll want to stick around because it's way worse than you think. So let's begin with something small, just a nuclear meltdown. In the episode Homer Defined, Homer stops a meltdown by pressing a random button. Yes, he saves the day.
Thank you, Homer, for saving my plant. With that idiotic rhyming! Do you even know what button you push?
But also, yes, it's his fault that the meltdown almost happened in the first place. His entire job is to make sure that doesn't happen. So every time he forgets to press a button, eats donuts on the job, or sleeps at his station, Springfield gets closer to being wiped off the map. And it's not just one episode. There's Homer, as in H-O-M-R, where Homer sticks a crayon in his brain. And King Size Homer, where he gains weight just to qualify for disability. The entire point of this was that one has to avoid doing any real work at the plant. He ends up nearly triggering a meltdown again by trying to use a bird to press the safety button. Yes, he used a chicken. And yes, it almost caught the end of Springfield twice. Nuclear safety violations like this aren't cheap. Let's say every near meltdown costs around $1 million in inspections, cleanups, fines, and lawsuits. Across the show, Homer has been responsible for at least 7 of them. That alone would add up to about $700 million in nuclear-related damage. And this is just the beginning. Because outside the plant, Homer doesn't slow down. He once drove his car into Springfield Gorge while pretending to be Daredevil Bart. He crashed an ambulance twice in the same scene. Not only did he injure himself, he destroyed hospital property, 2 vehicles, and possibly traumatized a few paramedics. If we calculate medical costs, vehicle replacement, and damages to public land, we're looking at $250,000 for that single moment of father-son bonding. Then there's the episode Trash of the Titans. Homer runs for sanitation commissioner just to get back at the garbage men and wins.
I want to register to run for sanitation commissioner. And tell the fat cats upstairs, things are going to change in this town.
His campaign promise? The pig garbage man will do everything, from changing light bulbs to babysitting pets. Naturally, Springfield's budget collapses under the weight of Homer's ridiculous new sanitation plan, and he tries to fix it by secretly burying the town's trash under the city itself. When it all explodes, literally Springfield is so toxic, they have to move the entire town. The cost of relocating Springfield, building a new town, and recovering from environmental damage? $150 million easy. But wait, it gets worse. In Bart After Dark, Homer lets Bart work at a burlesque house. This causes a public scandal, and the townspeople go into full mob mode. The town is destroyed, and they blame Homer for enabling it. Rebuilding the house, repairing the streets, and dealing with all the lawsuits likely cost around $5 million. It's a small number compared to everything else, but the pattern here is hard to miss. Homer's recklessness doesn't just cost money, it costs Springfield its sanity. Take the time he became a food critic. At first, it's harmless, until he teams up with the local paper and becomes addicted to excess. He pushes Springfield's chefs to go bigger, greasier, and deadlier. His reviews lead to mass overconsumption and a wave of food poisonings across town. There's even a food festival where people start collapsing. Estimated cost of public health emergencies caused by Homer's reviews? Somewhere around $2 million. Now let's talk about insurance. Homer has wrecked cars more times than most people have eaten breakfast. In Mr. Plow, he buys a snowplow and starts a business. He crashes into everything from mailboxes to power poles. The final nail? He destroys Barney's rival plow, leading to a lawsuit. If we factor in property damage, business loss, legal fees, and insurance payouts, the episode likely racked up $1.2 million. Then, in Hurricane Nettie, while the town is recovering from a massive storm, Homer and his friends help rebuild Ned's house. Except by help, we mean they make it so poorly that it collapses the second Ned touches it. This leads to Ned having a full mental breakdown. The house is unlivable, and they have to start over. It may look like a joke on TV, but in real life, bad construction like that, plus damage to mental health services, demolition, and redoing the project can easily cost $400,000. Springfield Elementary has been another favorite target. In Lisa Sachs, Homer gives Bart a metal detector. Bart brings it to school and finds a treasure buried underneath the playground. But when the treasure is removed, the school collapses into the sinkhole it was sitting on. Homer shrugs it off, but the city has to rebuild a school. That's at least $20 million in construction, inspections, and relocation costs. And in Homer the Great, he joins a secret society called the Stonecutters. And they worship him as the chosen one. For a while, it's all fine until he tries to make them do charity work, which ruins the entire order. An underground lair is abandoned. Their centuries-old network was destroyed. You could argue that this isn't financial damage, but if you imagine their assets, secret properties, and ancient artifacts all lost because of Homer, that's potentially another $10 million gone. Oh, and let's not forget when he became an inventor. Inspired by Thomas Edison, Homer builds ridiculous contraptions like a makeup shotgun and a reclining chair toilet. He nearly burns down the basement and damages the house. Not once, not twice, but over a dozen times across the show. The Simpsons house alone has probably had $2 million in repair since Homer. Still not done! In the Springfield Connection, Homer sets up a counterfeit jeans operation in his garage. This leads to a bust from the police and a large-scale economic hit to Springfield's local businesses. Because counterfeit goods do real damage. Combined with the cost of the raid and loss of business, that's around $4 million. By now, the running total is just over $940 million, and Homer is still casually destroying Springfield. In Homer versus the 18th Amendment, he becomes the beer baron. After alcohol is banned, he starts brewing it in his basement. His bootlegging leads to explosions, flooding, and total destruction of Springfield's sewer system. The mayor declares a state of emergency, and they have to reverse the prohibition to restore order. Damage to infrastructure, police overtime, and legal battles add up to another $80 million. And just when you think he can't cost Springfield any more money, there's the time he won a nuclear power contest and dumped toxic waste all over the town. That was in On a Clear Day, I Can't See My Sister. His attempt to build a mini golf course leads to radiation exposure. The government steps in, and Springfield faces massive fines and medical lawsuits. Final damage for that one stunt, $110 million easily. And we're still not at the worst part yet. Because Homer once literally sold Springfield out to a rich corporation that planned to destroy it. But the story doesn't pause there. In fact, that was just the first wave. Because when you stack up every reckless move, every near disaster, and every dollar that Springfield has quietly paid to clean up after him, the numbers start getting harder to ignore. Especially when you realize that some of the biggest damages start right where Homer works. Take the meltdown scare in Homer Defined. Homer saves the plant by pressing a random button. Yes, he's the hero of the day, but he's also the reason they were seconds from disaster. His entire job is to stop meltdowns from happening, not cause them. And every time he falls asleep on the job or eats donuts instead of checking the core pressure, Springfield inches closer to being wiped off the map. And somehow, after the meltdown at the power plant, after the neighborhood sinkhole, and even after Bart was nearly sold into foreign labor by accident, Homer still had a job. Which meant Springfield still had a problem, because keeping Homer on the payroll wasn't just costing money, it was inviting disaster. But that wasn't the worst part. Homer's stunts usually ended with property damage, but this one hit morale. The townspeople stopped trusting each other. Nobody wanted to risk helping their neighbor, fearing they'd get roped into another Simpson scheme. And so, Springfield's economy dipped into a recession, with most taverns going dark for 2 whole weeks. Even Ned Flanders closed up the Leftorium briefly. His first business break in over 10 years. That's how deep the mistrust ran. Then came the Bear Patrol incident. After Homer convinced the town to install a high-tech military-grade bear surveillance system based on a single bear sighting in Evergreen Terrace, the government swooped in, not because of the bear, but because of the lasers. Springfield unknowingly violated federal airspace laws, and a drone strike was nearly authorized. It took Mayor Quimby 3 emergency calls to Washington to de-escalate the situation. Meanwhile, Homer had already spent $25 million of city funds on armored bear-proof kiosks placed on every corner. They didn't work. A raccoon ended up getting trapped in one, and the kiosk had to be airlifted out by helicopter. At least the raccoon was okay. Of course, when things die down, Homer doesn't. Just as the town began to recover from the crypto crash and the bear scare, he decided to save Springfield from high utility prices by taking over the power plant himself. He disguised it as a family vacation to Reactor World, an amusement park he built with repurposed nuclear materials and parts he stole from the plant during a weekend maintenance shift. He even had bumper cars running off enriched uranium that lasted a day. The EPA, NRC, and Homeland Security all got involved. The cleanup cost? Over $90 million. And Reactor World had to permanently be shut down, and the land sealed off by lead walls. Meanwhile, the hospital started seeing the side effects. Dr. Hibbert reported a sudden uptick in patients with mild radiation burns, hair loss, and glowing eyes. Lisa started a protest. Milhouse's teeth fell out, and Ralph Wiggum started speaking fluent German for no reason. For a town like Springfield, strange things happen, but this one was traced directly back to Homer's DIY power project. But Homer wasn't done. He entered the Springfield Grand Prix, not as a spectator, but as a driver. He modified Marge's station wagon into a turbocharged jet car using equipment borrowed from Professor Frink. The race lasted 12 minutes. Then Homer crashed on lap 2, and the car skidded into the grandstand. Miraculously, no one died, but 47 people were injured. The city was sued again. Another $22 million gone. In a desperate attempt to make up for it, Homer took a job as Springfield's traffic engineer. He lasted 3 days. During that time, he introduced a new system of roundabouts, except they weren't circles. They were just painted squares. Drivers got confused. Accidents surged, and Otto drove the school bus into the Quickie Mart front door. Apu lost his insurance. The traffic system had to be fully redesigned, costing another $5 million in consultancy fees and repairs. And when you finally tally it all up, every mistake, every explosion, every court fine, every burned down Krusty Burger, every gas leak, every broken hydrant, every mistake missile launch, it's not just a number, it's a warning. Homer Simpson has cost Springfield an estimated $1.7 billion. And that's being generous, because not every disaster has a price tag. Some just leave a permanent dent on the town's soul. And the scariest part, he's not done yet. What other costs do you think Homer has brought upon Springfield? Share your thoughts in the comments below.